Kyle Connor not rebounding and Jack Hughes being a major factor. I think they were kind of grouped together in Four Nations as disappointments, and the fact they've kind of gone even further away from each, they've gone opposite directions, interests me. I think Brock Nelson, third generation Olympian, the fact he's making the most of it. He was a player that coming into this tournament was grouped in with Miller and Trocheck as question marks while they were on the roster. I've liked his game. Now, was it against the you know toughest competition? No, but I like the fact that he's made himself a presence on this Team USA. Slavkovsky, a surprise. I love that Team Italy came out and stunned Sweden. That was a great surprise. Um, yeah, really, those are the few off the top of my head that I can think of. And I'd like to see maybe one team make a run. I think Finland coming out of the gate slow was a surprise. Um, and I'll be honest, this is my other hot take of the tournament. Outside of the Hellebuck with the most on the line, I think Team Sweden is not as good as they're kind of being talked about. I just haven't been blown away by them. And maybe it's in the same boat as like the United States, but yeah, Sweden to me, like there's a lot of this talk that, well, if Canada or US had to meet Sweden, which it will likely be the United States, if Sweden beats Latvia, if they meet them, there's a precursor that that'll be a tough game, and whoever wins that might have a tough time then playing a second great game again in the gold medal game. I just haven't been blown away by Sweden. Like none of their game has been like, oh, this player is significantly doing better than the rest of the tournament.
I agree with you on that. Maybe a player that come to mind, maybe Elias Pettersson. It was only 3 years ago that he was an 100-point player. And what was that, 2022, 2023? He was, well over a point per game. I don't think he's anywhere near as dynamic as he once was then. So I guess you could throw him on there. I was thinking Brock Nelson as well before you snagged him away from me. But I guess I got to circle back and go with Kyle Connor. I wanted to try and think of somebody that we haven't talked about on this epi, but I think for me, Kyle Connor is very surprising of how disappointed I am in him. I think this is a player coming off of Four Nations where what he's capable of, but just not really, it's not translating to any results. And again, it's not just like he's coming out there and making giving up turnovers and hurting play. He's just been invisible. And I said it earlier on the episode. For me, he doesn't move the needle for me offensively. Kind of been invisible, and I really don't think that he's a top 20 NHL player. I've really been disappointed in his play. So I'm curious. Do you think he's a top 20 NHL player?
Throwing the questions on this fine morning. I'm gonna say no off the top, just because if we're grouping
So
in goaltenders and defensemen, then no, right?
I
And definitely not this season.
just offensively.
Oh, just forwards? Oh,
I got to be honest with
no.
you.
I mean, he's at 25 goals this season. Like, I just don't think that, right? Certainly 25, 26. No, he's clearly, if you group in Four Nations last season and this year, no matter, regardless of how good or bad your team is, I don't think he's been a, top 20 now.
I,
Maybe fringe. Like, but, I haven't, it's not like I just calculated in my brain 20 players, but if I'm already just thinking about forwards, like you already have a pretty much top 10, top 12, top 15. I don't, the cutoff there's probably players. And I would even take guys that are like younger, dare I say, like a Dylan Gunther over him right now, at least just where they're at. And obviously with this his inability to seize a role on Team USA, I think is also hurting that image. So
yeah.